Have you ever been in a relationship, or even a conversation, where you felt like something was just off? Where the person in front of you wasn't just making bad choices, but seemed utterly blind to wisdom, logic, or even basic self-awareness? Now, I know what you're thinking, stupid is a harsh word. But today, we're not talking about intelligence in terms of IQ. We're talking about the kind of foolishness that Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics warned about, the kind that leads to self-destruction, misery, and failed relationships. So if you want to recognize these signs not just in others, but maybe even in yourself, watch this video until the end. Because once you see these patterns, you can never unsee them. And trust me, this might just save you from heartbreak. But before we begin, if you love wisdom, self-improvement, and the brutal truth, then hit that like button. Subscribe to Nightmare Chronicles, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Now let's get into it. 1. She refuses to take responsibility. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship where no matter what happens, it's always your fault? Think back to a time when you had an argument with someone. Maybe it was your girlfriend, your partner, or even just someone you were seeing. You tried to talk things out. Maybe you even admitted your mistakes. But instead of meeting you halfway, she just doubled down. Every problem in her life, her job, her friendships, her past relationships, was always someone else's fault. Her ex was toxic, her boss was jealous, her family never supported her. But when you really looked at the pattern, you realized something. It was never her. She never did anything wrong. Now, I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself, have I ever been in love with someone like this? See, Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, warned us. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. What does this mean? It means that wise people take responsibility for their lives. They don't blame the universe for their failures. They don't blame others for their unhappiness. They take ownership. But a foolish woman? She does the opposite. And here's where it gets dangerous. When you're in a relationship with someone who refuses to take responsibility, eventually she will blame you for everything wrong in her life. If she's unhappy, it's because you're not loving her enough. If she's struggling financially, it's because you don't support her. If she makes a bad decision, it's because you didn't warn her. At first, you might try to be understanding. You'll think, maybe if I just explain it better, she'll see my point. But let me tell you something, she won't. A woman like this doesn't want solutions. She wants an excuse. And here's the real tragedy. As long as she keeps blaming others, she will never grow. She will keep making the same mistakes. And if you stay in her life too long, she will drag you into that cycle too. So ask yourself again, have you ever loved someone like this? And if you have, did you feel like you were constantly walking on eggshells, trying not to be the next thing she blamed? If so, then you already know what I'm talking about. 2. She worships drama over peace. Now, let's talk about something even more exhausting: drama. I want you to imagine something for a second. Think about your past relationships. Was there ever someone who seemed to need conflict to function? Like, when things were peaceful, she'd almost get bored, and then suddenly, boom, out of nowhere, she would start a fight. Maybe it was about a text message you forgot to reply to. Maybe it was about a joke you made that she suddenly decided was offensive. Maybe it was something so ridiculous that you actually sat there thinking, are we seriously arguing about this right now? But here's what's really crazy. After the fight, she seemed happy, like she had just created entertainment for herself. Now, this is important. A wise woman seeks harmony. A foolish woman seeks attention. And what's the easiest way to get attention? Drama. See, a woman like this is addicted to emotional highs and lows. When things are calm, she feels empty. So she creates chaos, because in chaos she feels alive. Marcus Aurelius warned us about this when he said, if you are pained by an external thing, it is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. In other words, drama isn't real. It's created in the mind. And people who live for drama are choosing suffering. Now, let me ask you something personal. Think about your happiest love memory, the moment where everything felt perfect. Maybe it was a late-night conversation. Maybe it was a quiet moment holding hands with someone you loved. Maybe it was just waking up next to them, feeling safe. Now, tell me this, was there drama in that moment? No, because real love thrives in peace, not chaos. But a foolish woman? She can't handle peace. So she picks fights, stirs gossip, and creates problems where there are none. And if you're with her, she'd drag you into that mess. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Do I want to build a life with someone who brings me peace? Or someone who brings me storms? Because the truth is, love isn't supposed to be a battlefield. And if it feels like one, maybe you're not in love. Maybe you're just trapped in someone else's drama. And that's a dangerous place to be. 3. She is controlled by her emotions. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship where every day felt like an emotional roller coaster? One moment, she's deeply in love with you, showering you with affection. The next, she's accusing you of something ridiculous, crying, or exploding with anger over something small. Think back to a time when you felt like you had to constantly manage someone's emotions. Maybe you even started questioning yourself, did I really do something wrong? Or is she just overreacting? If you've ever experienced this, then you already know the answer. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned us. A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary. And this applies perfectly to relationships with emotionally unstable women. See, emotions are natural. We all feel them. Love, jealousy, frustration, sadness, these are all part of being human. But a foolish woman doesn't just feel emotions. She is controlled by them. If she's angry, she lashes out. If she's sad, she collapses into self-pity. If she's insecure, she accuses you of things that never happened. And the worst part, she expects you to fix it every time. Now, I want you to think about your best love memory. The kind of moment where everything felt perfect when you and your partner were completely in sync. Maybe it was a deep conversation at 2 a.m., maybe it was a simple walk together, hand in hand. Whatever it was, I bet it felt calm, secure, safe. Because that's what real love is supposed to feel like. But when you're with someone who can't control her emotions, peace is impossible. 1 minute, she's happy. The next, she's furious. And you never know why? You start feeling like you have to tiptoe around her, afraid that one wrong word will set her off. You stop being yourself because you're too busy managing her emotions. And before you know it, you're exhausted not from love, but from survival. So here's the question, are you in a relationship? Or are you a full-time emotional babysitter? Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But a foolish woman doesn't realize this. She believes her emotions control her. And as long as she thinks that, she will never change. So, if you recognize this pattern in someone, be careful. Because no matter how much you love her, you cannot fix someone who refuses to control themselves. And if you ignore this, you'll learn the hard way love can't survive in a hurricane. 4. She seeks validation instead of wisdom. Now, let's talk about something even more dangerous, validation addiction. Let me ask you, have you ever been with someone who needed constant reassurance? Someone who couldn't go a day without attention, praise, or social media likes? Maybe you've dated a woman like this. She loved compliments. She posted selfies every day, checking her phone every few minutes to see how many likes she got. She asked you, "Do you think I look good?" 10 times a day. And no matter how much you reassured her, it was never enough. At first, you thought it was cute. Maybe you even liked giving her attention. But over time, you realized something: she didn't just enjoy validation. She needed it. Marcus Aurelius warned us, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And yet, a foolish woman isn't living, she's performing. She's not seeking wisdom or self-improvement. She's seeking approval. And if she doesn't get it, she falls apart. Think about it. Have you ever been with someone who changed her personality based on who she was with, needed attention from everyone, not just you, felt insecure unless people constantly praised her? If so, then you've seen firsthand what happens when someone values validation over wisdom. And here's the harsh truth: this kind of person will never be truly happy, because no matter how much validation she gets, it will never be enough. She could have 1,000,000 followers, thousands of compliments, endless attention, and still feel empty inside. Why? Because real confidence doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. A wise woman seeks wisdom. She wants to grow, to learn, to understand herself. But a foolish woman? She only wants to be liked. Now, ask yourself, have you ever been with someone who made you feel like you were competing with the attention of others? It's a painful experience. You try to be everything she needs, but no matter what you do, she's always looking for more. More likes, more compliments, more admiration. And over time, you start to feel like you're not enough. But let me tell you something, it's not that you're not enough. It's that she's empty, and no amount of love can fill a person who refuses to find meaning in something deeper than attention. Seneca said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." A woman who seeks validation instead of wisdom has no direction, no purpose, no real identity. She is whoever people want her to be. And that's not someone you can build a future with. So be honest with yourself. Have you ever loved someone like this? And if you have, do you really want to go through that again? Because if someone can't find value in themselves, they will always look for it in others. And a relationship with someone like that, it's a black hole. It will drain you until there's nothing left. So here's the final question: do you want to be with someone who needs constant validation, or someone who seeks real growth? Because at the end of the day, love isn't about likes. It's about depth. And if someone can't see that, then maybe, just maybe, they don't deserve you. 5. She avoids hard truths. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like you had to walk on eggshells? Like every time you tried to tell her the truth, even in the most gentle way, she got defensive, angry, or just shut down. Maybe you told her something small. Hey, I think you could handle that situation better. Or maybe you pointed out a mistake that she kept repeating. Instead of listening, instead of trying to improve, she attacked you. Why are you being so negative? You don't support me. You're just trying to bring me down. Sound familiar? See, a wise person seeks the truth even when it hurts, because the truth is the only thing that leads to growth. But a foolish person, they run from it. Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Think about that. The hardest part about change isn't the pain, it's facing the truth. But a woman who avoids hard truths is running from reality itself. If she's unhappy, she blames everyone else. If she fails, she makes excuses. If you try to help her see the truth, she rejects it. Now, I want you to remember your deepest love memory. The kind of moment where you felt like you and your partner were completely open with each other, where there were no lies, no fake smiles, just honesty. That's real love. But with a woman who avoids the truth, real love is impossible. Because how can you build something deep with someone who refuses to face reality? Here's a painful question. Have you ever been with someone like this? Someone who refused to acknowledge their mistakes, no matter how obvious they were? If you have, then you already know the answer. And let me tell you something, you can't save someone from the truth. At some point, she will have to choose to face it. And if she never does, then she will repeat the same toxic patterns over and over. And if you stay with her, you'll suffer right alongside her. So ask yourself, do I want a partner who grows with me, or someone who keeps running from reality? Because the truth isn't meant to break us, it's meant to free us. And a woman who refuses to face it will never be free. 6. She values superficiality over depth. You meet a woman. She's beautiful, confident, and charming. She knows all the right things to say. At first, everything seems perfect. You feel lucky, like you've won some kind of prize. But as time goes on, you start to notice something. She cares more about what others think of her than who she really is. She spends hours curating her social media, making sure everything looks flawless. She judges people based on their appearance, their status, and their money. At first, you ignore it. You tell yourself, maybe I'm overthinking. But then, one day, you realize she doesn't actually care about depth. Marcus Aurelius warned us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And when someone fills their mind with only superficial things, they become hollow. They care more about expensive gifts than meaningful conversations. They value attention over real love. They judge people by what they have, not who they are. Now, let's make this personal. Think about a time when you truly felt connected to someone. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about looks. It was about something deeper. Maybe it was the way they understood you, the way they made you feel safe, the way you could be yourself around them without pretending. That's real love. But a foolish woman? She doesn't understand that because she's chasing something shiny, not something real. And here's the scary part when you're with someone like this. You start to feel replaceable. You could give her the world and it still wouldn't be enough. Because she doesn't value you, she values what you can give her. And the moment you stop providing what she wants, she moves on. Think about this, have you ever been with someone who only seemed happy when they were getting things? Someone who cared more about status than substance? If so, then you know how exhausting it is, because you can never relax. You're always trying to keep up, to prove your worth. But here's the truth, you shouldn't have to. Seneca once said, "Wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool." A wise woman understands that happiness comes from within. But a foolish woman? She thinks it comes from outside, and that's why she will never be satisfied. So, ask yourself, do you want to be with someone who values meaning? Or someone who values material things? Because at the end of the day, love isn't about money, status, or fame. It's about depth, connection, truth. And if she doesn't understand that, then maybe, just maybe, she doesn't deserve you. If you recognize these signs in someone, be careful. If you recognize them in yourself, don't panic. Awareness is the first step to change. At the end of the day, Stoicism teaches us that wisdom is a choice. We can choose to learn, to grow, and to reject foolishness. And if you want to continue that journey, subscribe to the channel and like this video. It really helps us bring more content like this. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.